I'm excited. Like we've been wanting to talk about a lot of this for a long time, especially the roadmap. But there's a ton of great content in today's episode, so let's get started.
All right.
So, yeah, as you can see, New World is, it's dead for now. My channel's so fucked. As I was saying, it would be pretty dumb of me to keep all my eggs in one basket, especially one that's dying right in front of me. So it's time to move on to bigger and better things. Yeah, it turns out we can't go that way though. Now, I'm not sure what it is about Africa specifically that Amazon hates, but they won't let me play their game. So then what is out there for us to look forward to? Surprisingly plenty, actually. If New World proved one thing to the gaming world, it's that you can shower your devs in money, but if you build a crappy working environment, pressure them to finish before the product is ready, and then push it out the door, you won't last a year. Wait, no, hold on, that proved two things. That was number one. The second thing it proved was that there are players out there who are hungry for a new MMO to play and experience and enjoy. The market does exist, and this is proven by their initial player numbers. Now, there are a few contenders out there to take the new crown as MMO king, or at least survive 12 months after release. So let's go through a few of them. The first one to keep an eye on is one that's definitely on most people's radar already: Ashes of Creation. Lovingly handcrafted by Intrepid Studios. Development of this one has been long, hard, and surprisingly open to the public. A while back they even switched Ashes of Creation over to Unreal Engine 5 from 4 just to flex on other games even harder than they were already doing with their alpha testing. The most recent update that they've managed to ejaculate into people's eyeballs is their new character creator, which has gone from standard MMO predefined choices all the way to beating out the Ion character creator. And it's about fucking time too. That game is 14 years old. And yes, I know BDO exists. And no, I don't care that I'm not using it as the standard for character creators. Now I'm getting off track. Beard quality of creation, very nice. We're looking at 9 playable races, PvE, PvP, skill augmentation, siege battles, race wars, no pay to win, a node system that changes the cities and landscapes which is determined by the players, shipping and sailing, naval battles, animal taming, no pay to win, a cosmetic only cash shop, all the stuff that should come stock standard with any other MMO like professions, the Holy Trinity system, guilds, and no pay to win. This one has a lot of hype to live up to. So let's hope they can deliver at least on 60% of their promises. This one I've thrown right on the top of my list, with the biggest draws being the mix and match archetype system, which leads to 64 different class combinations. Good luck balancing that, by the way. And the dynamic player-determined world. Fun fact about one of the guys who founded Intrepid Studios: all he had to do to be motivated enough to build his own MMO was play Arcade a few times. The game releases on...
How they gonna sign you, man?
And there's no box price, only a subscription model. So at least they got the sustainability thing down. Moving on, next up we've got Riot's Unnamed MMO. How do we even know they're making an MMO? They told us. Now what we know so far is that Arcane was a massive success. And that means there's a whole wave of people who are now interested in the world of Runeterra, but they're just not going to be able to get that hit of fantasy they're looking for from playing League of Legends. This means that in true Riot fashion, they're kind of already setting themselves up for success. Aside from that, we know next to nothing except that all the basics of an MMO will be in there. If this one is already deep in development, well then Riot's keeping their lips sealed tighter than a nun on Christmas, and all we really have to go on is a few tweets and the fact that Riot has a habit of not reinventing the wheel, but improving the wheel to the point that it does some real crazy shit you never thought it could do. And then somehow they do that without making it feel overcomplicated or inaccessible to your average job-having, MMO-playing human being. But looking at the League of Legends community, maybe that's not such a good thing. Now don't go expecting this one to be out anytime soon. They're still recruiting as far as I can tell. And we haven't even seen any gameplay footage yet, so there's a pretty good chance that we'll all be in an old age home by the time this one releases. But this one does make the list because this is Riot we're talking about here. They've already proved that they can grow a pair of legs, crawl out of the cesspool that is League of Legends, and still succeed. Then rounding off my big three, there's Throne and Liberty. otherwise known as Black Desert Online 2, otherwise known as Lineage 3. Made by NCSoft. Let's not be too hasty to judge here. Success is built on failure. And they failed a lot. So at least speaking from a statistical point of view, if they fail enough, eventually they're bound to hit success by pure numbers. So maybe that's what happens this time around. We're looking at a third-person MMORPG with PvE and PvP just for you and your ADD. The game started life as Project TL, an isometric 3D Chinese cartoon that looks a hell of a lot like early footage from another 3D Chinese cartoon that has been wildly successful very recently. Throne and Liberty has been stuck in development hell for what seems like the longest time, but after all that waiting, out popped this pretty good looking spank bank of a game. Graphics look pretty good, and by the sounds of it, we're looking at a dynamic world with environmental and weather effects that alter how you have to play the game. An apparently deep story, and people can turn themselves into their fursona to travel around if that's what you're into. But take everything I say with a grain of salt, because it's incredibly difficult to tell exactly what to expect until this game releases, and that's mostly because everything we know so far has been translated from a language where sentences are constructed by drawing houses in different states of disrepair. Shockingly enough, we've actually got a release date for this one for the second half of this year, both on PC and console. So at least the wait to find out if this one's good or bad is not going to be that long. This one's a bit lower down on my list of future MMO corpses that I may have cared about once upon a time, mostly because of the words NCSoft, South Korea, and pay to win. Those three concepts alone are almost as indistinguishable from one another as Genshin Impact players are from Peter. But enough of that, now let's speedrun some of the filthier ones that I think are less likely to succeed, but may build niche audiences that might work out in the end. These ones are in no particular order, by the way. Corepunk. Looks like Discount Dota, plays like Molasses multiplayer Diablo. Can you tell I'm a fan already? Forget about all that detailed customization of your character and stuff. When they tell you you've got over 9 million options, what they mean to say is you will only choose from state-approved characters and classes with minimal customization options. Guaylo. This one is another top-down isometric group play.
Skins in the trailer.
Skins in the trailer. PvE and PvP crafting MMO with profound lore, whatever that means. For as cynical as I am about this one, I really do hope they manage to succeed and build a core audience. Next one on the list we know next to nothing about. Now, I'm a pretty big fan of the story that Games Workshop stole their original ideas from for Warhammer. My personal suggestion to you is that you go out and brave the seas, find yourself a copy of the old Dune strategy games, and give them a play if you can. That shit was wild. So short story even shorter, Funcom have right now to make a Dune game. Funcom make Conan Exiles in past. Survival MMO coming where Conan show up in Dune, or Dune show up in Conan. Dune title coming 2023. Apparently. Pantheon, Rise of the Fallen. No, don't ask me why they named their game after what happens when you take Viagra. I don't know. Something about it reminds me of the old Dragon Age Origins game, itself described as a deeply social high fantasy. So as you can probably guess, I'm going to be very disappointed if there's not a wiener slider in the character creator here. There's 12 classes and 8 races so far, including politicians without their human skin masks, and for some reason, the Joe Rogan experience. This one seems a little niche, but it looks like it has a chance to be decent at least. Project Barbecue. BBQ? LGBTB, an open world, no loading screens, action combat system, and it's dead. God damn, I'm good at picking winners. For anyone who already knew about this one, on March 30th, Nexon, the company that was making the game, decided that barbecue wasn't so tasty and neither was making an MMO. It's now called Project AK and is another Souls-like ARPG ripoff, blah blah blah, you know, it's gonna fall into those kind of categories. Now let's be honest, what likely happened here is that some high-up manager probably pivoted the entire game's direction around the tip of his hard-on after he saw the kind of profit that FromSoft pulled in with Elden Ring. Then last on my list, and I can't believe I'm actually saying this on my main channel, it's a crypto game. And you know what that means. NFTs, the thing all gamers love, universally. We're talking about the big time MMO. Now, unfortunately, being involved in crypto means that investors care far more about this game than actual gamers, because to them, it's seen as a place for them to park their money for a while. But the company behind the development does at least appear to care about making a good game based on the people they've hired and how open they've been about their game development so far. They're calling this one a multiplayer ARPG, where you team up with friends to adventure across time and space. Sounds original. Player classes in this one are very limited, and we don't fully know the scope or the scale of the game yet. But by the looks of it, it might end up being a decent casual experience. Or, you know, just another failure to throw on the pile of blockchain games. They'll get it right one day, but maybe not today. Hopefully, they will have a beta soon, and I can tell you how bad it really is since I've gotten a hold of one of these things. But either way, that's it from me for now. I'm going to be branching out my content in a few different directions, if you couldn't already tell, and that's mostly because New World is just lying there on death's door, a rotting carcass of sadness. And big thank to all my subscribers, both old and new. And a special thank to Wajojo Gabriel for wasting his money on me every single month and allowing me to live on an African budget. More content soon. Bye.